Hi, I'm Toby from abletondrummer.com, and today I want to give you a full review about this thing here, the Sensory Percussion Sensor from Sunhouse. I found out about this thing in 2015. I stumbled over a crowdfunding campaign. They were going for 80,000 US dollars, and it was successful, and they got about 94,000 US dollars, I think so. So they went a bit over the target, which showed that there is a need for a product like this, which lets drummers or other musicians express themselves in a better way, or translating their expression, their playing in a better way to electronics, to the computer. So let's have a look at the hardware. So if you order one, you will get a package where you will get a few things. You will get obviously a registration number for your software, and you will get a mounting kit as well, a few magnets which need to go onto your drum, onto every drum you play obviously, and this thing will help you to position the magnet right, and later on to position the sensor right on your drum. So let's have a look at the sensor. I was quite impressed with the material. I think it's 3D printed, so it's plastic, but it doesn't feel like plastic. It's not metal obviously, but it feels like quite steady, and I think if you handle it right, it will last for not only a little while. Okay, so this is quite easy to explain. You just mount it on your drum. If your rim is cool for mounting, so I read it in the forum for some kick drums, for example, it was a bit difficult to get it nice, because it needs to be like this to the head. So actually, I will show you later, or there are a few links about how to mount it right. So or you can buy my online course obviously, but yeah, I was impressed with the product. I think it's a bit big, or that was my first impression. If you play a small drum, if you play a 10-inch snare, for example, it's quite a thing to put on your drum. But if you compare it to other triggers, it's bigger, but it can do much more than other triggers. So that was what was so interesting for me about this thing, that you can actually have up to 10 fields from your drum sending into the standalone software or into Ableton, which I work with mostly, to send MIDI there and to put samples on there. So this is actually a new thing, that you can have 10 different fields. For example, the head, the edge, rim tip, rim shoulder, rim shot center, rim shot edge, and so on, to trigger different sounds. So that's the first thing, 10 fields. That's really exciting. The second one is you actually have blends. So it's not like edge sound, head sound, center sound, head, edge sound, center sound. So you can play in between, and the sounds will blend, and you can apply this in detail in the Sensory Percussion standalone software, really deep, like at which point, at which velocity you want the sample to react and the blend to work. So so that's the next thing which was really interesting about this product. The third thing which was really interesting for me was that you actually not only have the have 10 fields, so have a big variation of sounds there already, but you can actually change or use the velocity, the speed, and the timbre of how you're playing to change the samples, or to change MIDI control change to another software. So that means, for example, if you have a sample there and you want to change the pitch of this sample with the velocity you are playing. So that's really interesting there. There are a few ways to do this in Ableton Live, but it's not that were used in the electronic drumming world, to be honest. So, and this whole thing made me to decide, yeah, okay, I'm gonna get one of those, even if it's like $700, which is not that expensive, to be honest, but it's quite a bit of money for something you weren't sure what you're gonna get. So so for people who are interested, maybe this review will help you to decide if you want to try give it a shot. Yeah. Okay, so we have the hardware, we have the history. So let's have a look at the software, the standalone software from Sensory Percussion. The Sensory Percussion software is quite powerful, so you need to spend some time on getting into it, understanding it. Well, you have a lot of presets here already. You can add up to 4 sensors if you want to on one system. You will need, for every sensor, you will need an input on an external sound card with phantom power. Okay, so you will have up to 10 fields and you need to train every field here, or if you want to deactivate this one field or pad, you can do this as well. You can put as many samples as you want on one field. So for example, you got a few presets here and you can pick the different kits or even the single drums, put it onto a drum track then, and there you will see, for example, in this preset we are having this one sampler over here with, I don't know, up to 40 samples, I'm guessing. So this is an acoustic snare sound, so it's multi-sampled presets. And here you can apply more samplers if you want to. You can change the velocity, so at which point this sampler should react to, or how this sampler should translate the velocity to the samples. So what else? You get pad effects as well, so you can add audio effects to single drums, single samplers, so single samples, or even you get some send channels here as well. So what's interesting as well, you have controllers here where you can actually use your velocity or the speed or the timbre of how you play to to change the pitch, for example, from a sound. So for example, we have the rimshot center. Yeah, we are on the wrong drum. So if we pick, where is it? I need a sample, no samples in here. Where are my samples? Okay, I was in the wrong view, so I need the samplers here. So for example, if I want my velocity to change the pitch of these samples, I can apply a velocity control and then just drag and drop this onto the dedicated parameter, in this case the pitch. And now when I'm playing my center, oh, the center is off, so I can choose it. So every time, from every field, the velocity will go into this controller and then being translated to the pitch, to all of these samples being applied in this center here. Okay, so that was quite quick overview. There's one more thing, the MIDI. You have the MIDI here, so you can apply different MIDI notes from every field. You can have multiple notes and change the length, for example, and you can send this MIDI note to another software. You can use Ableton Live, or if you are more into performance stuff, you can send this to video software or to Lightning software, DMX software as well, obviously. Okay, what else is left to say? Okay, in the beginning I was a bit disappointed because the software is not plug and play. There is one thing between plug and play, and this is called training. So you need to train every field of this drum, obviously, so that the sensory percussion sensor, the sensory percussion software knows how your center of your drum is sounding. So the audio gets sent in here and is being analyzed, and then you apply it to the different fields. You learn the different fields. In the beginning, this is a bit hard to understand, but after a little while you will get it. So I made a little training set for this as well. If you are interested, just go onto my course page, and there you will find another link. Okay, so let's have a look at Ableton, or how to integrate it with Ableton. As an Ableton Live user for nearly 10 years now, I was sure that I'm going to use Sensory Percussion with Ableton Live before I got Sensory Percussion, and it proved, yeah, it's all working fine. It's working perfect. So you can actually send MIDI notes, record them in Ableton Live. You can send all the MIDI control assignment from the Sensory Percussion out to a MIDI CC, MIDI control change signal to Ableton Live, and then you can apply sound effects onto sounds, or you can switch scenes, or you can do a lot with it. If you're into performance art, you can even send out stuff to control lighting. You can control video stuff as well. I and Chang did a really interesting, really great video performance. I will post the link where he's controlling the lights and video as well. So up to this point, there's one thing missing in Sensory Percussion. It is recording the audio. So we are up to version 1.2.1, so it's early steps, but I know that the Sunhouse team is working on a solution for that, so maybe there will be an inbuilt solution in the standalone version soon. Maybe it will take a bit longer. It's a small company, you never know how long this works. So if you want to record stuff on your computer from Sensory Percussion, you will need another digital audio workstation. Audacity would do the job as well, so there are free solutions out there, but this is something I want to mention. It's not doable inside of the Sensory Percussion software so far. So with another software like Ableton Live, you could record even the raw audio from the sensor and then send the raw audio to Sensory Percussion, so you just could play on your drum, record the raw audio from the sensor, and then send it to Sensory Percussion and work on nice presets there, and look how sounds and control assignments behave while you are on the computer and not while you're actually playing. So that's quite a good way how you can deal with this for now. Okay, so let's sum this up. Sensory Percussion is a product which is unique up to this point on the market. So it's really interesting because it's pushing ideas in the electronic hybrid drumming scene, and for manufacturers as well. So being able to use the velocity to change the pitch and all the stuff, it's doable kind of, but it's not as well done with this piece of hardware and software. So I have to say, as a musician, it's quite some money to spend, especially if you want to get up to 4 sensors. But if you compare this to other products on the market there from Roland, for example, or from other companies, it's actually not that expensive if you compare it. Okay, so what do you need? You need to keep in mind you will need a computer. I just used this software on Macs, so my Macs aren't that new, so you should be fine if your Mac is not older than, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. Mine are from 2010 and 2011, and I haven't had any problems, even if I used like a really complex stuff, sending not only MIDI but routing audio internally and all this stuff. On Windows machine, I can't say for sure, but I think if your Windows machine is not only a small office use machine, and if you have about 4 gigs RAM and an SSD maybe would be nice, and if you have a quad-core processor, you should be fine, especially if you just want to use it standalone and just to trigger a few sounds and just play some stuff. So what else? You need to be comfortable. If you want to use this Sensory Percussion, you will need to be comfortable to use your computer on stage. by your performances. I'm saying this because a lot of people aren't up to this point. So I think this will change over the next years, and I'm sure if I would do a review in 3 years' time, this wouldn't be such a big thing anymore. Okay, what else is there to say? I think it's a great product, and I'm not saying this because I just released an video course about this, how to use it with Ableton Live as well. I'm saying this because this is really something I was looking for years. I want to be able to get more from my expression while I'm playing translated into my digital audio workstation or into the computer, into the electronic sphere, into the electronic world. So this made this possible, and Sunhouse, thank you for this great product. Yeah, I think that's all there to say. I hope I could give you a little insight about this thing, about the software, how to integrate it with Ableton Live. Of course, I'm going to release more, and there already are a few tutorials on YouTube from me about sensory percussion and Ableton Live. So if you have more questions, just get in contact and stay tuned.